to another week's video. You might remember last week we talked about Saint Kateri, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about Saint Mary Magdalene. So I figured we'd start off with just a few interesting facts about her, and then we'll get into why she is worth talking about this week.
Mary's last name, Magdalene, is not actually her last name. Magdala is the place that she comes from. So that's how people were identified back in the days of the early church. Their first name plus the place that they come from. Mary comes from Magdala. We call her Mary Magdalene.
Another thing that we should know about Mary Magdalene is that she actually had some spirits that were bothering her. And so when she went to Jesus, he healed her of those, and she became a very devout follower of him. I think that this is really interesting because there's somewhere else that we can go to have the same treatment.
Mary Magdalene was a devoted follower of Jesus. She even followed him right up to the point of his crucifixion, and then she assisted with his burial. In fact, by the time that Jesus was crucified, most of the apostles had fled in fear. But Mary Magdalene, she had the courage to stay.
Another fact about Mary Magdalene that personally I think is one of the most interesting things in her story is that she was the first person to see Christ resurrected. When it comes to the gospel and when it comes to anything involving the Holy Spirit, there's no such thing as coincidence. So it was very specifically chosen that she was the first one to see Christ resurrected. It wasn't one of the great apostles. It wasn't Peter, who was the rock upon which the church was built. It wasn't John, the beloved disciple. It was Mary Magdalene, who was just a humble woman who went to him for healing and forgiveness. And that speaks volumes.
Mary Magdalene was the one who told the apostles about the resurrection. She was the very first person to proclaim the message of Easter, and that makes her the first evangelist. Without a doubt, Mary Magdalene is the spark of the church.
One of the reasons why I feel that Mary Magdalene is one of the most important saints to us, especially today, is the fact that she and her story embodies hope in the face of hopelessness. At the point of the story of the resurrection, Jesus had been crucified, died, and was buried. All of the apostles, the men who he had been purposefully raising on his own to go forth and be the start of the church, they'd all fled and they were hiding. And here was this humble woman who followed him and stayed with him after death to help bury him. But not only that, but she found him resurrected because she was returning to the tomb. She was going back to continue to take care of him. And I think that that is just so important, that in our time of hopelessness, when we don't know what to do because we're so upset we don't know where to go, she went to Jesus, and we can do that too.
Mary didn't just walk to the apostles to tell them about the resurrection. No, she ran to tell them. And we should have that same excitement and that same energy to go and proclaim the resurrection to other people and the good news of the gospel of Jesus. Wow, Mary Magdalene is a really cool woman, isn't she? The fact that she was involved in the life of Jesus, there's so many things I learned today I didn't know about her before.
And the fact that she played such a big and such an important role in the start of Christianity. Yeah, I just like to think about it. What would have happened if she hadn't been waiting outside the tomb that day? How everything would be so different. It kind of makes me think about what we said there a couple of weeks ago about Peter and Paul. How would it have been different? If they hadn't played their one important role.
Yeah, we all have a plan. God has a purpose for all of us, and we need to learn how to follow that plan and listen to God's voice. And Mary Magdalene did just that.
Yeah. So stay tuned for next week, where we're going to be talking about a different woman of the time of Jesus, Saint Martha.
Another fabulous woman, I'm sure.
Can't wait. So stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us. God bless.